Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. It's time for another special guest. We've been having a lot of comedians on lately, and we have Brian and Kohatsu, and I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. He is an award-winning director, comedian, and he's got other slashes and other chapters of his life too. And he's graciously agreed to be my guest today. And we're so glad to have you from the beautiful state of Arizona, right?
Oh, it's beautiful. All right.
Yes,
Today was great. I,
yes.
I know a lot of people are dealing with the cold, but I almost got sunburned today. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not rubbing it in. You asked. So it's very nice here. That's why everybody moves here or visits here, and everybody's
Yeah,
grandparents move here eventually. So yeah.
absolutely. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself, your projects you're doing, and tell us about Brian.
So I was born in Arizona, born and raised in Arizona, which is very rare. Most people move here. I was actually born here. My father was a farmer, so I'm a farm kid, kind of, which is a little bit different out here in Arizona. It's not milk and cows and all that. It's a lot of dry produce and stuff, very hot. But had a very supportive father who was always telling me that I should be a comedian. But he's Japanese, and I just traditionally it's a lot of hard work. Japanese are hardworking people. My father was no different, being a farmer. And so that was never something I thought about being a comic, really. I always thought it was a joke, him saying that to me. So I worked very hard. And then I worked so hard that I started my first business as a video producer at the age of 20. Um, and just started working my job, getting my career going. But my father was always telling me you should be a comedian, and then my customers started telling me that too. And eventually, I through a long series. By the time I was 42 years old, I think, when I started doing stand up. So, but I did improv and I've done radio, and so I've kind of step by step have reached reached that goal that I never thought I would get there. Unfortunately, my father passed away before I ever did stand up, but I had started my radio career, and so he got to see a little bit of that prior to that starting. But that's my career. But my family life, I'm married. I've been married for 29 years. My wife and I met when we were little kids. We were actually in third grade when we met. So it's 40 some odd years we've been together now. It's crazy. So we've got two kids. My wife is an amazing athlete. She played college basketball, and upon graduation is when we got married. And then shortly after that, she became a professional golfer, and she had never golfed before. Um, 6 months after we were married, she decided she wanted to become a professional golfer. And so within a year, she got good enough to get on tour. So yeah, crazy high achiever I live with. So yeah, so I'm always the guy. It's a lot of my material comes out of my wife, just being the go getter. So, and then we've got two kids. My kids are 18 and 15, and they're great. My son's getting ready to graduate, and it's an exciting time right now. Other than the pandemic, it's an exciting time. So, I've got to spend a lot of time with the family, which has been super important.
Speaking of the pandemic, is there any message or any thoughts that has really hit your heart and your soul uh, during this pandemic?
Two things really come to mind. Number one is a lot of people. It's been tough on everybody, and try to look at the positives out of it. I cannot get that time back with my kids. It's great that they're at school all the time, but for pandemic, they're home all the time. So, and in being in high school too, it was, I've got a few more years before college and life starts for them. So, a guilty pleasure of it was being able to be home with the kids, and spend every day with them. Some people, you hear so many people saying, "Oh, my kids drive me crazy during this time," but they're at a stage now where a lot of good conversation, a lot of good time together. It's more than just sitting around watching TV. It's, good conversation, having dinners together every night. That was an unusual thing in this house. Everybody's very busy in this house. So to have that time now was super. I just, you know, it was a true blessing in disguise, because I love my kids to death, And again, as we get older, everybody's going their separate ways. It was nice to really kind of have that time together. And I think the kids, it changed really the dynamic of the family. We look forward now to
Yeah.
like, if I have to go do a show on Friday night, it's kind of, I wish I was home, which is crazy. But that's how it is. But that's great. The other thought I had too is just I've been traditionally known as a very patient person. My wife is a fast go getter, and I can be very patient on a lot of things. I'm very slow to anger. My wife is Italian. Oh, she can get angry quick. But we balance each other out. I mean, that's how we are very equally yoked in that aspect. It's not so much equally yoked, but we do balance it. So, but for me, it's kind of I was able to like kind of show my kids the patience of just this is just pause for right now what's going on and kind of just absorb it for what it is and try to learn because kids today with the phones and everything else everything is immediate. You can order stuff and it comes the next day. Rarely do they have to wait for anything, so waiting for school to come back, waiting for to be able to at least meet with friends again, those kind of things. Pretty valuable lesson. Not an easy one of course on them, but they'll notice that if you're anxious about things. And my wife, we try not to model the chaos of like, "Ugh, I wish this was over." We all feel it, but just trying to get a grasp of it and then kind of just tell them that like everything's going to be fine. We will eventually get back to normalcy again. And the kids have been great. The kids have been great. We haven't had any sad moments or anything else going on. So it's been good. But
And the good news being with your kids so much, you keep that notepad close to you at
oh,
all times because you never know when material's going to come out, right?
and I have several. My daughter's the one. My daughter, I get a lot of material off of. My son too. I actually got some stuff off of recently. So yeah, the two of them, they're my writing partners, and they don't know it. So
They don't know it. Right.
yeah,
When you were talking about your kids, my kids, we have two kids, they're grown. We have 8 grandchildren between the two kids, and it just seemed like a vapor. June, they were
yeah,
born and then they're gone. It's that quick. And to be able to have a time like such as this where we
hmm,
can slow down and just enjoy, because we'll never have this again like this, and
absolutely.
to just enjoy some time together. And I think I hope people are taking advantage of that.
I really hope that people understand, that when things quote go back to normal, that they don't forget this. Yeah, and say, you know what, we do need to. To me, it's God hitting pause on everybody. Like,
Yeah.
look how chaotic everything was, and now it's kind of like, just take a breath, really. Be still, and no, I mean, God knows what He's doing, and I think it's one of these scenarios now where, with the technology and politics and everything else in the world, everything was getting out of hand, and I think a lot of people have stopped. Not everybody, but a lot of people have stopped and kind of understood like what's important to them now. And a lot of that other stuff becomes small stuff. And so hopefully we don't lose sight of that moving forward.
Well, hopefully it won't be long and we'll be out and about again. So, and being able to go to comedy shows and music and movies and things. And I want to, I'm going to put your website down below in the comments, and keep an eye on Brian's, his dates, where he's going to be. And if you could get to his show, please get to his show, buy some tickets, bring your family there. And probably more important than anything else is to be praying for him, that God would just continue to use him every day.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Really
And
did.
I'd encourage each and every one of you to pass this interview on, and pass it on through either Facebook or YouTube. And if you got somebody that needs to hear this encouraging words, uh, this this really from the heart message about the time that we're living in, please make it part of your day to pass it on to somebody else. Any closing thoughts that you have for everybody, Brian?
Uh, in general, try to relax, take a deep breath, and try to laugh when you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, laughing gets you breathing. secretly. You just don't realize
Absolutely. Good.
it.
Thank you so much for joining me, and Brian, and thank you for joining me for Morning Moments. Keep coming back and keep listening, and may God richly bless you today.